It's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 224. We are starting a new series today. It's on bloating and the senses, and today we're going to talk about the sense of sight. Now, today's the beginning of the series, and we're going to basically do an overview. As most of you know from watching these, when I start a new series, I hijack the least likely to be connected and give you a general overview of what we're talking about, especially in relation to the healing equation. Now remember, the healing equation is energy to heal equals good energy and minus stressors. So we'll talk a little bit more about that after we get done with our breathing. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in and release. On this next deep breath in, we're going to breathe and we're going to expand into our belly where we have bloating. We're going to expand into our chest, and I want you to think of breathing all the way up into the top of your head. When you do that, I always say tuck your tail. Your sacrum is naturally going to release just a little, and then you can exhale. All right, so go ahead. Let's take this big, big breath in. Take a deep breath in. And release. And today we're talking about bloating. So we're going to breathe into what it feels like to be bloated. So I want you to really slouch down as much as you can, kind of just tuck everything in there and take a deep breath in. And release. That should not have been a deep breath. When we scrunch everything up, it's as if we've got bloating coming up and out and pushing against our lungs. So I wanted you to kind of be in that nervous system, body system feeling of just having everything bloated and tied up. So today we're talking about how the healing equation can be used to help you with bloating, but we're also going to talk about the sense of sight and its relationship. So when we talk about the healing equation, we talk about energy to reduce bloating or energy to stop your gut from being gassy equals good energy and minus stressors. And when we think about good energy in for this, we think about eating the right foods, maybe having the right mechanical stimulation. You know, if you tip the right direction, it makes it go away. If you get adjusted, it makes it go away. If you get a massage, it kind of reduces it a little bit. Those are things that we can do once we have bloating. We can kind of add a food. We can add, a lot of people like to add soda in, because once the bloating gets in, then they add a soda in, then they can belch. And in belching, it relieves some of the inflammation that exists, especially if it's upper body. Or if it's upper abdomen, lower abdomen or bloating usually requires a little bit more mechanical work, whether it be vibration or massage. That can be used to kind of open and manipulate that. We'll talk a little bit more about a particular maneuver that I use in the office and one that I teach patients to do in order to help with the lower body inflammation and bloating when it's actually scheduled for the last day of the series. So those are the good energy in. But we can always add the general good energy in. Anything that makes us feel good, anything that calms our nervous system, anything that helps us not have as much stress, because one of the interesting features about the gut is that the gut has its own connection to the brain. There is a gut-brain axis. So things going on in the gut, because we have more serotonin receptors in our gut than we do in our brain. If our serotonin receptors are not taking in serotonin and calming us, that signal is going to go up to the brain and it's going to cause us stress. If there's something going on in the head, that's going to end up down in the gut. Interestingly, a concussion will trigger the brain to send a signal to the gut that actually causes you to toss your cookies out. Diarrhea automatically within like the first 2 hours of a concussion, because the brain thinks it's getting brain poisoning, so it hijacks that gut-brain axis and says, let's drop trout, let's just get it all out because something is in there that's affecting me. So there is this connection between the head and the gut. And what's interesting is any way that we can calm the head, we can also, or the brain, we can also calm the gut. Likewise, any way we can calm the gut, we also have a little bit of manipulation over what's going on in the head. Now, that said, when we talk about good energy in, we can also talk about stress. And anything that causes issue here is going to cause issue here. So being stressed at work, being worried about something, that changes the dynamics of what's going on in here and is going to cause bloating. Sometimes just being at work can cause that. I did a series in, or one of the ways I started doing weekly videos in the Healing Equation. And if you're interested, go to the Healing Equation in the Facebook groups, private Facebook group. You can request to join. It is kind of restricted to women. It is restricted to women, so women, feel free to join in. One of the early videos, I talked to you about how I used the Healing Equation to discover that I was stressed out at work. I gained weight every single day after I worked. So I'd work on a Monday, I would gain weight on a Tuesday. I'd have lower weight on Wednesday, I'd gain weight on Thursday because I worked on Wednesday. And this pattern just kept on going. Every single day I worked, I gained weight, because there was a stressor that I wasn't I wasn't identifying about work that was causing me to put on weight. So sometimes it's just being there can actually cause bloat and inflammation in the gut. But anything that involves top down, since we're talking about the gut-brain axis, any place where you start thinking is going to change the biochemistry down in the gut, which then can cause bloating. So any stressor through any system, if you are in a car accident, or let's even put it this way, you drive past a car accident and that trips, oh yes, I was in a car accident 3 years ago, I was knocked out, it was pretty serious, I had to go to the hospital. Seeing that accident can activate the brain's memory of that accident, which then can go ahead and change your gut chemistry, which could cause bloating. So your sense of sight, all of your senses, if they have learned, or if they are linked further up cognitively, top-down ways, perceptively, to a stressor event, they can change, because of the gut-brain axis, your gut chemistry, thus causing bloating. So that is one of the things we have to pay attention to. So all of your senses can be stressors and can be triggers for bloating in the gut. Now, that said, when those triggers happen, it's because your nervous system has been hijacked by your memories. Now, here's a very interesting thing that you can do. You can tweak your nervous system a little bit by using your eye movements. Your eye muscles are connected to your cranial bones, and they're connected to, and they sort of are tied a little bit to the dura of the brain. And so if you look in a particular direction, in an extreme way, so you could look all the way over to the left, you could look all the way over to the right. For me, if I look up and to the right, it has a tendency to calm my nervous system down. My body just naturally goes into a smile mode. And this is regardless of my stress. But you could play around with looking straight up, looking straight down, looking up and off to the left, looking up and off to the right. And you could play with all of those directions and see if when you do that, your brain calms down, maybe your mood picks up, maybe your gut calms down. And it's not because it's actually, well, it is because it's hijacking, it's calming the nervous system, which is then telling the brain, stop thinking about all the stress that we're doing. And then it will reverse or alter your gut chemistry such that you will not have as much bloating. So you can use the sense of sight, but not necessarily. So we kind of hijack that because that's actually kinesthetic sense. But we're hijacking the sense of sight and using our eye muscles, kinesthetics, to calm the nervous system. Now, you may find that you just can't just look up in one direction and all of a sudden everybody's hunky-dory. You may have to stay there and look for a little bit and go, okay, does this feel any better? Does this feel any worse? And then move into a different direction. Does this feel any better? Does this feel any worse? And what's interesting is that depending upon how your cranials are pulling and pushing your brain in the dura, it can be in a different place at different times. So if you're just looking to chill the nervous system out, just kind of, I wouldn't go all the way around the clock like this. I would kind of go up and I'd go down and I'd go right and I'd go left and I'd go upper corner and lower corner and upper corner and lower corner, and just see if I hold those. If my brain, if the pull on the muscles and the bones inside my brain is enough to kind of just tell the system, it's worth a shot. All right. I hope you've gotten something out of today. Tomorrow, we're going to jump into more bloating in the senses, and I will see you back here. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Have a great day. I'll see you here tomorrow.